Well, it's great to meet you because when I got sent the email and listened to the music, I was like, this is cool because now I get to go back. And I'm like, I've heard the name before, but I didn't take a listen. I was like, this is it. Like I'm originally from Chicago, so like the Lawrence Arms, all that hot water music, punk music is
Yeah.
like that's my vibe. So like this is so cool. So I really appreciate you taking time on tour to do this.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, when they asked me to, I was already familiar because you interviewed Ian from Military Gun. We went to high school together. Ian and I were.
That's
I
right.
was I was 3 or 4 years above him, but yeah, we went to high school together, which is crazy. In
Oh,
this small town in Washington.
that's right. When I was like doing a little research on you, Enum Claw, I'm like, I wonder if they
Yeah.
intersected at any point. Like, that's really cool. That is awesome.
Yeah, Ian's great. He's a good guy. Your interview was really good.
Um,
I listened to it.
oh, thank you. Like that was one of those moments like literally I never do it. I was like, all right, I'm gonna shoot my shot. I love the record. I love and when he responded back, I was like, oh God, all right, let's do this. The kindest person to come on, like from
Yeah,
going
he's a
on
sweet
Zane
guy.
Lowe. I'm like, I love to hear that, like a personal connection, because that's how I felt. So that's awesome. First question I ask everybody, and since you listened, is where was the first memory, or what is the first memory of falling in love with music as the art form as a whole?
So my parents were big fans of music. They can't carry a tune to save their life, but they were always huge fans. And so we actually went to concerts more than we did anything else when I was a kid. That was their hobby and they loved it. And my first concert was seeing the Temptations when I was 8 years old. I saw them at Busch Gardens in Williamsburg, Virginia. And I don't remember going this is what I want to do for a living. But I do remember going, that's cool that this is their job. Like, that's so cool. They get paid to do this and make all these people happy. And I think subconsciously that probably stuck with me because it was, that getting that response, that kind of love openly from a crowd full of people, I think probably is stuck in the back of my brain somewhere and kind of like, kept me on that track. And then my parents were just big record collectors and they were such huge music fans that music was always on in the house. And so I was kind of born into it in a lot of ways.
I love that because yeah, that's me too. Like my parents cannot carry a tune at all, but they had music. We had records. We had all that stuff there. And I think I remember like, finding Nirvana in their collection or Smashing Pumpkins. And then that led me on a track where it's like, I don't know if they were into other stuff, who knows, but like just music. I was doing a little bit of research, like 8 years old, you were gifted AC/DC, a tape or cassette, which
Yeah.
again, think about 8 years old listening to that and that path. Like, had you not found that, do you ever wonder, like, I don't know, what path of music would I have taken?
Yeah, there was a few little steps like that. Like my dad giving me cassettes. He would give me one every birthday, and AC/DC was still is my dad's favorite band. He was in the fan club well before I was born, and yeah, he's just still a diehard AC/DC fan. And you know, he was always gifting me things, and that was his way of kind of like showing affection. He wasn't the most affectionate father, but he would always, slide me a record. And I remember there, I was maybe 11 years old. We were living in Germany. My dad was in the military, and I was listening to Metallica's Black album, and he hated it. He did not like it in the slightest. And we got this huge argument, and because he took it and he didn't like it, he was like, "I'm tired of this." And then I didn't talk to him for a few days, and he came back with Green Day's Dookie and was like, "These guys are angry. This record just came out. They're young. They're angry. You'll probably like it." And that was actually the first punk record I ever got. I wish it was like a cooler story, and it was like, maybe the Sex Pistols or the Clash. But my dad gave me Dookie, and it really did kind of set me on that track to continue going towards, I guess, that type of aggressive music. And then from there, I found the Ramones and the Clash. And when I heard the first Clash album, it changed my life forever.
Oh, I bet. Yeah. I mean, we always have those moments, whether it is, and someone listening could be like, oh, great, whatever their opinion on Green Day is, right? But it's like, hey, Green Day Dookie, that record was something else, at least for me as well. And then, yeah, you can find your other bands from that moment. It's like you don't necessarily need to start with a specific one. So I think that's really cool and important note. And I guess being in a punk band and just punk in general and sharing what you love. I mean, talk about the Clash. What do you think the most important thing is that punk has gifted you in your life?
Um, the the need to be honest. Like to me, my version of what punk rock is a very honest human feeling. Whether that feeling is aggression, rebellion, no matter what it is, it's honesty. It's being true to yourself, and I've gotten that from punk music, if anything. You know, it's like it's taught me over the years to try to not put on a facade, to try not to pretend to be somebody else, to try to make anybody happy with what I do or who I am. And that's a massive gift. I mean, obviously, it's also given me a career, which is amazing. And, you know,
Mhm.
it's, I get to travel the world with my best friends playing music that I truly believe in. And to bring it full circle, I believe in my music because I've tried to be as honest and transparent as possible. And I think that's one of the big things that punk gave me, which insanely grateful for.
And I think too, and then you're passing that torch almost to like your fan base. Because when you watch videos, I'm like, man, I'm like, I need them to come to Jersey. I don't even know if you were right here and I missed you guys because who knows what's going on. But it was one of those things of like, you're almost taking what you were gifted and now your fan base, you're giving that because I'm like, you feel that unity and especially these times, right? Like everything going chaos, like the world's on fire right now. But I
Mhm.
think how special is it that you're taking that and then now gifting that to people that maybe see you for the first time or love you and will go see you or just listen to your music, creating that unity and having that at your shows or within your fan base, was that something you just always, I don't want to say strive for, but just something you really wanted to accomplish with the Drowns?
100%. 100%. Yeah. So the guys in the Drowns, we were all in other bands for the last 25 years, and we were all touring musicians in different bands and became friends, you know, through that world. And when we made this band, we made a couple rules. We set like boundaries right in the beginning. And one of them was like, say yes to everything and build your
Mhm.
life around the band, which has helped us a lot. But one of the big ones was like, we will remove that barrier between band and fan. Like, we don't even call our fans fans. They're like our
Mhm.
friends and our family at this point. And we are always in the crowd. Like, there's countless, you know, that's a beautiful thing. Like, whenever I'm feeling down, I can always like dig into the comments. And obviously, a lot of people say the opposite. You can go to comments and find a bunch of negativity. But
Mhm.
just today, like we played Billings, Montana last night for the first time, and I woke up to a message from my mom who I gave a guitar pick to her son and was like, it made his whole day, and like he wants to start learning guitar. And it's little things like that, like, and that's because I was in the crowd. I wasn't in the green room, you know. And we swore to each other in this band that we would bring that kind of community feeling to what we do. So it's I'm glad that you saw it and it comes across because it's 100% a goal that we try to achieve. So I'm glad it's working.
Oh, I love to see that because, like, yeah, I mean, last weekend I went to go see the Menzingers play at the Stone Pony, and I got the drumstick, so I can feel what that the person that got the guitar pick of like that feeling you get when you get something like that from a band you love and what that does, like whether it's like it inspires you, like something like with me with this because I'm trying to learn an instrument. I have failed. I'm still trying. My guitar is right there, but I think like that feeling you can get of just that moment, and I think that's so special that you're creating that. And who knows, like where the Clash was for you, the Drowns maybe an are for them, and that's so cool about punk and music. And I think just the community it forms from it and how we don't know each other maybe when we're standing there in a crowd, but we do know each other through the music. So I think that's a really beautiful thing.
Yeah, same, man. And then, like, just like you said there, it's like the Clash did that for me, but also going to a lot of punk shows as a kid did that for me. And in a lot of ways, I feel like I'm paying it forward. You know, I got through a lot of really terrible situations with a lot of really great records. And so I feel like I owe it to those records to try to do my best job at writing inspiring music to give back because I don't think I would be here if it wasn't for a lot of that music.
And kind of like to piggyback off that, I mean, my whole show is and revolves around that idea, especially with people that create music, that it's a catharsis for them and it allows them to process emotions that maybe necessarily in a regular chat, maybe they can't, or maybe you can, right? But there's something special about sitting down and crafting a song with the emotions and being able to process them that way. Specifically, this new record that's coming out on September 18th, it's going to be here before we know it. Do you think that how has songwriting enabled you to tap into certain parts of yourself that maybe you're not comfortable anywhere else?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you're spot on with that. I absolutely use it for that, and I don't know if it's ever been a conscious effort, but it just kind of happens. Again, with to come back to the honesty thing, it's like we try to only write things we know about. You're not going to hear a song from the Drowns about how cool we are or how much money we have. It's like
Yeah.
you're never going to hear that, but you're going to hear songs about how much I love my mom and how much I love my wife and how much like, we are we hear and understand the struggles of those around us, and we try to champion that in our songs. And it definitely becomes a very revealing experience in a lot of ways when you try to write honestly as a songwriter. They always say that like artists or creatives in general, we're all kind of missing something, or we're trying to fill that hole with our art. And I think that's really, really true. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It'll probably never be fully full, and I
Mhm.
hope not, because it's my most favorite thing in the world is to create and to write. And so it, at this point, it's insanely therapeutic for me. Like I can kind of tell my wife will be like, man, like, I like if I'm anxious or something, she'll be like, oh, you
Mhm.
haven't played in a while. Like you haven't like go write a song or something. Like we just got a new house and I have a home studio now, and it's nice to be able to just go. If I'm like feeling frustrated about something in my life, I can kind of go in there and create, and I'll come out better on the other side. It always works like that. So
I love that too because I know what music does for me as the listener. So I can only like again, if I'm anxious or feeling a certain way, I'm like, oh, I haven't been to a show in a while. I need to get there. I need to go do that and need that release. And it just is, it's such a special gift. And you can hear that too in these songs. I mean, you talk about Relentless, that, is the single off this record, especially like when I hear the lyric of I just wish life would give it a rest. And I hope I didn't butcher it. I'm like, it's in my head.
no, no,
So
you
I'm
got
like,
it. Yeah,
all
you're
right, good.
good.
And it's like one of those things of not even like, I want to see this live, but I want to feel this lyric live because in unison with my peers and there. So for you, like, what is that connection then? You've already touched on it a little bit, but like live with a lyric like that or a song like Relentless, like, does it give you a different meaning than obviously like when you guys created it because then you're seeing the reaction firsthand?
Absolutely. Yeah. What's crazy is the album's not out yet, right? The single
Right.
did come out, but it's only been out for a few weeks. And we already have people singing along at the shows. And even before the single dropped, by the second chorus, people were singing along. And
Mhm.
that song, more than I think anything we've ever done, at immediate face value reaction has had people coming up being like, that's how I feel right now.
Mhm.
I feel completely shit on as a working class American, like whether it's, healthcare bills or it's, can't make enough money compared to rent and the cost of living. There's so many people that are just, for lack of a better word, feeling, right now, like this
Mhm.
insane weight of just existing at the moment, which is what that song is all about, is being on that bottom rung and feeling like the world is just hammering you down farther and farther and being over it. And I think a lot of us are at our breaking point, seeing people like Elon Musk, hit $1 trillion. That does enough to make you beyond angry that there
Yeah.
are no one should be a billionaire in a world where people are starving. I say that every night on stage, and
Mhm.
it's truly how I feel. I feel like it's an absolute slap in the face to humanity and this beautiful gift that we have called life to have this happen. So that's where the inspiration for that song came from. And to get back to your question, every single night, halfway through that song, if they've never heard it, people are like, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
Like they immediately start to sink over that. So I'm glad it's having that reaction, and I hope it does inspire some people to try to focus on changes that maybe could help all of us feel a little bit better about the situation.
Yeah, because that's the thing too. I think and at the end of the day, it's going to take all of us. And I mean, I felt that like immediately hearing it once, it was already stuck. I was like, it is stuck because I feel this. And it's something that's so true. Like you talk about if you just go to the grocery store these days, or if you, God forbid, you got to go to the doctor, like we feel it and it shouldn't be that way. And I'm with you in that. And I love that you say that on stage because it kind of sets the tone for maybe if someone's not hearing that, whether it's in how they're being raised or just in their community, they're hearing it there and it's going to stick because it's a favorite band that they're going to go see or a band opening. And I think moments like that stick with people. So I thought that was really important when I would watch videos of you not being afraid to speak up, because I think nowadays a lot of people are like, oh, you shouldn't be speaking up. You shouldn't be doing that. But you should. You should be doing that and being your authentic self. So as a fan and as a person, like I appreciate that because I'm someone that I'm like, I'm never going to keep my mouth shut with things like that. I'm just going to tell you how it is. I'm like, I'm 40. I don't have
Good.
time for that. I don't have time for that. I need to be like, I'm in that phase where it's like, yeah, like, I just don't care. Like, we need to be better people. We need to be better for our communities and help them. And so, like, finding a band like yours, I was like, this is great. This is perfect. I was living under a rock and I apologize for that. So, thank you for that.
No, it's all right. I'm really glad you. I'm glad that you dig it and and that sticks out to you. You know, I do get a fair amount of shit, obviously, for
Mhm.
having opinions on stage. But to bring it back full circle, we would not be who we are if we weren't trying to stand up for what we believed in. And we have a platform, big or small, wherever we are, and an ability to be able to get that message out there. And I'll be totally honest, we're playing in Glen Rock, Wyoming tonight, which is like healthy right wing territory. And so um, somebody from one of the other bands asked me if I was gonna hold back, and I was like, I'm gonna double down tonight because this place needs to hear the other side more than anywhere else. Like it needs to be said in places like this. And I never look at it as a point of conflict. You know what I mean? I never try to when I talk on stage and when I speak my mind and I try to connect with people, I never ever am looking at it from a point of conflict. What it is it's a point of compassion and empathy. And I'm a practicing Buddhist, so I do have I have empathy for a lot of these people who are probably really hurt, and that's why they got in these really terrible positions of whether it's how they vote or how they treat others. And I try to tap into that on stage and maybe be a healthy reminder that there's another world outside of your own bubble. And I think that's what a lot of us have forgotten.
Yeah. And I think that's very important. And especially like in those areas, I do think that too. I think whenever I see like a hate comment, I mean, I don't get a lot of them, but if you do, I immediately think, man, that person might be having a bad, what are they going through that they're sitting there? What is going on? And I'm with you. I have a lot of empathy for people in general all the time. I think I have too much sometimes. I feel too much at times where I'm like, but you can't. It's fine to do that. And a song too, when we talk about catharsis and everything, a song that stuck out to me on this new record because I was able to hear it, which front to back, again, the bookends, the cover, everything of this record, like it sets the tone, everything. So we have Vengeance. Vengeance stuck out to me so much because you can hear that anger and you can hear that frustration. And do you ever now looking back on that, because obviously it's done and finished, you're like, man, I really had to go to that place within myself to get it here. And where is that place and why was that sitting in there?
Yeah, no, I mean that's a really good question. That song, I love that song, and we've been
Mhm.
sitting on that song for a little while. And Zach from Rise Against actually played the guitar solo on that
Mhm.
song. Who's a good friend, and I love him dearly, and he did a great job. But yeah, that's the other part of me. We all have like parts we don't show the world, and I have an incredible little man complex. Like I have a
Mhm.
Napoleon complex, and that frustration inside of me about the current state of the world is always there, and sometimes wants to get out very angrily. And I try to process that healthily by writing songs, like we talked about earlier. But um, yeah, once I was done writing Vengeance, I took a step back and was like, oh God, I'm glad I got that out this way. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like instead of like snapping one day when someone says something shitty to me, you know what I mean? Because
Hmm.
that's the other way of getting those feelings out, and processing things like anger. So I'm glad that that song resonated with you, and I love it. I think it's a really great song, and I'm very proud of it. And I hope that that's another one that people can kind of shout out. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? And when we're playing live, and when the record finally is in rotation, and people are hearing that, I hope that it resonates with them, and they also can maybe process some of that frustration live with that song too. I hope so.
Yeah, it's like that's the gift again, like we were talking about of music, that what's helped you process that is going to help someone else. And to me, I'm like, I heard, I'm like, all right, this needs to be again live. This needs to be happening. We need to hear this, and I need to see the crowd move and just feel that. And I think that's really, really special. And obviously, too, this record, you worked with Bill Stevenson, the legend himself. What do you think working with him really added to this record that if it were you were with anyone else, it just wouldn't have fit and connected?
So we've made three records with Ted Hutt, like Grammy Award winning Ted Hutt.
Hmm.
He's Old Crow Medicine Show, Dropkick Murphys, Bouncing Souls. He's made Flogging Molly. He's made all these amazing albums, and Ted is a good friend, and we love him. And when we started working on this material, we knew it was going to be more. I don't necessarily want to say aggressive, but a lot more in your face. And also, we just felt like it was time to do something a little bit different, mix it up. Ted probably would have made a great album with us. He always does.
Yeah.
But we wanted to mix it up. And we got the opportunity to work with Bill. And we jumped on that as massive fans. Like we couldn't say no. Like on the first day, I was trying to hide my Descendants tattoo, my
Oh my
Milo
God.
tattoo from
Oh,
Bill. I was like,
oh my God. Yeah, I didn't even think about that.
I also have black flag bars. So I was
Oh,
like,
so yeah.
trying to not let him see those. I wanted to come in on a level playing field, not let him know how big of a fan I was.
Sure.
Um, but it was amazing to work with him, and he added a ton to the album. It was like
Mhm.
from day one, he could feel the aggression too, and he knew obviously what we were trying to get across. And working with someone who has that much experience making these like very intense punk records was just the perfect like joining of skills. And it was great bouncing ideas off Bill. Bill's a genius. He
Mhm.
is plain and simple. He's crazy. I love him. He's a very wacky guy, super goofy, but he's a genius when it comes to recording. And as people can tell with the Descendants, that guy can take emotions out of someone's head and put them into a recording like nobody else. And
Mhm.
so there were certain things like in the song Always a Bastard, the first track on the record, like that was one that he was like, we gotta nail how frustrating this is. And like, we in my opinion, we got that. So
Yes.
it was great to work with Bill. And yeah, he's a crazy genius. He's like a mad scientist. So it was an awesome element. And it was really nice for us to change it up, honestly. It was cool to like see how he did things and bounce things off him. Yeah, he's amazing.
Oh, and I mean, you can hear that. You can just hear it where, again, as me walking into that being the first like glimpse, I was just like, okay, I can hear this. I can hear the units working together here. And I'm like, this is just again where the bookends and like a whole record is so important to me from again the cover art, the songs and how they transition. And you can just each one, I was like, I had put it on again this morning. I had it on last week and this morning and just like sitting there and I'm like, this is just such a like cohesive, like this is a record in a singles world we live in. And I understand this is such a that's the industry, the times, I get it, but I'm like, yeah, this is right up my alley. And I know others where they want that experience to sit with it, where they can just really sit with themselves too and have that mirror of themselves and have that almost like that hug in music. I felt like Relentless was that for me. Like, yeah, you're going through a lot right now, but here's your hug in music. So again, I can't like praise it enough and how it turned out because as me listening to it, it was just like, yes, they got it. This is so great.
Man, that warms my heart. I'm so glad it resonated for you. That means a lot. I mean, it was such an awesome record to make, and you never know. It's
Yeah.
like it's like being a parent. Like you raise this kid, and then you never know how they're
Mhm.
going to turn out. You just try to give them the best foundation and hope for the best. So, I mean, that's a good sign. If it's working for you, that's a good sign. So, hopefully, it'll resonate with some folks. Man, it was a labor of love. We're really really proud of it, and I'm so glad that the whole package thing resonates with you too, because that's big for us. My whole band are avid record collectors, and
Mhm.
we all have tons of vinyl, and we're the same way to where like we are sad that singles are so popular and digital release only is so popular, because the album covers when we were a kid were important, and getting that record and or cassette or CD,
Mhm.
and like seeing everything and reading the liner notes and seeing what the band decided to put in, like when you open the pages of the fold out,
Mhm.
it's like those things are always important to us. And so I'm glad that you enjoyed that part of it too. We were very fortunate to the album art was my concept, but we got to work with this guy named Johnny Crap, who Johnny is a So I'm a massive pinball player. I'm a huge pinball nerd. That's like my other passion. And
Awesome.
we were in Toronto on tour with the New Bomb Turks, and this guy came up and he was like, "Hey, I love your band. I used to do art for the New Bomb Turks. I'd love to do something." Um, and I was like, "Oh yeah, cool, baby. We'll do something sometime." And then he was like, "Yeah, my art is like I do it under the name Johnny Crap." And then things switched because I was like, "Oh shit!" Like the guy who did the art for the Jurassic Park pinball machine,
Hmm.
and he was like, "Yeah," and he realized I was a pinball player, and all of a sudden I was the like fan being like, "Oh my god, you also did the art for the Labyrinth pinball machine that just came out."
Yeah.
And so we did a T-shirt design together, and then I asked him to do this concept of a mother holding a daughter staring out their window, scared of a city on fire and the world on fire around them. We talk about women's rights every single night on stage and how absolutely fucked America is for. It's an uphill battle for women. Obviously, has been for so long, but it not enough change has happened, and we talk about that all the time on stage. And that album, I really wanted. I was specific about being like, it has to be a mother holding a daughter, and
Hmm.
and I wanted that symbolism. And then when you get the vinyl and you open it up, it's folded in the middle, so that when you open it up, you see the entire city on fire. And yeah, Johnny did. He just killed it. He did such a great job, and yeah, I couldn't be happier with how it turned out. And I'm glad that you like. I felt like it got across the
Hmm.
entire message, and the package worked together. And I'm glad that you picked up on that too, and that's how you saw it. So awesome. That means it worked. So
Oh, yeah, no. I mean, that's something that jumped out right away. And as I was like listening to the record, I was like, I had it like opened up. So I was like, you feel that. And again, it sets the tone for what you're about to hear. And I have to say to you, like, I applaud you for talking about women's rights because so many people, again, to each their own, maybe they don't want to do that, which, okay, I have my thoughts. That's another podcast I don't need to get into right here. But I think that it's so important to have a band like yours do that. And I appreciate that because whether we want to talk about, capitalism and all this stuff, when you talk about women's rights and the young girls growing up, and I worry about, as someone who's trying to have a child right now, like, okay, I want to do this. I want to be a parent. I want to go and do this, but I'm also really nervous to bring somebody into this chaos. Like, what, it's so yeah, like, no, I'm like, that's already like, the album covers for me. I'm like, I can't wait to have it back there with all my other vinyl. I have it pre-ordered. And speaking on, like, I know you're an avid vinyl collector, like you said, and like that's so important and you can really comes across because these variants for this record are beautiful. Like they are just so beautiful. Like, was that tough then being an avid, like loving vinyl and that presentation being important for this record? Was it hard to pick like the cut, like everything to go with it because like I'm like didn't even know which one to pick. I was like, these are so beautiful.
we're really lucky and very privileged to be working with Pirates Press Records as long as we have. And for folks who don't know, Pirates Press Records also owns a pressing plant, and they press a ton of albums in the United States, and they also have a plant in Czech, and we're honestly like they usually do all the heavy lifting on that end, and they come to us with samples already, and
Hmm.
we kind of just get to choose. And they're so great about it that like at this point I trust them for most of it
Yeah.
because they know that part of the world so well, and they know what's going to look cool and what fans are going to want, but also they know what's going to make us happy as collectors. And that I think that's why there's so many variants, is they know that we love that.
Hmm.
Because I'm a completionist when it comes to vinyl, so I'll try to buy as much as I can.
Hmm.
um, I don't think we've talked much about this anywhere else online or anything yet. But Pirates also did this crazy thing where they we have a song called Black Lung from years ago that was filmed in our buddy's record store, and our buddy's name is Martin, and he owns Georgetown Records in South Seattle, which is this amazing record store that
Hmm.
doesn't do online. You have to go in, you have to talk to a person, and you have to pick out a record. And they went to him and they asked specifically if he wanted to do a limited pressing only for his record store, that people could only get this limited edition vinyl variant from Georgetown Records by walking in and talking to Martin and buying a record. And I thought that was the coolest idea. And that's just the kind of people that they are. They gave this independent record store their own variant that will not be sold online. So you have to walk in and get it just to help support our buddy's record shop because they still believe in the industry. And that's like no other fucking record label's gonna do that.
No, that's so beautiful because that is like I love that. Like when I used to live in Chicago, that was like Reckless Records for me, where I would go in there and have that experience of like, that's Joe, that's and I would you would just know that and have that feeling and yeah, there's a couple in Jersey, but it was just something so special about that experience. So I love to hear that. I think that is so cool. And again, as someone that like that experience is just there's something so special about going there, getting it in your hands, knowing that you got this special thing that you had to get up and go. So I love to hear that like with this you're gonna have that. And two, like also, I guess because you are on tour, before I let you go, is there anything you do that maybe if another musician or somebody is listening or watching, what you do to cope? Because like when we talk about mental health and musicians and everything, what do you do to really cope with that? Because there's probably ups and downs on tour when you get to like a show or anything. How do you process that?
My like I've been with the same therapist now for 7 years, and my therapist and I always focus on this thing we call holding space for yourself, and that's a big one for me. It sounds more intense than it is. It sounds like this big process, but really just kind of like if I'm feeling frustrated, if I'm feeling overwhelmed because so much travel. We played almost 200 shows last year, so it's so much travel and so much time away from home. Um, It's kind of just a big one for me is taking those moments and putting things in perspective, sitting in silence. Like you could call it meditation, but it's really just like sitting and letting nothing else happen, recollecting my thoughts, recollecting my perspective. That's a huge help for me. I'm also though I'm insanely fortunate to where the other guys in my band are my best friends and they know me better than anybody else. And it's not a professional working relationship. It's like the guys that I love. And so we're very fortunate in that sense too, that like usually if something's amiss, one of them has picked up on it before any of us have, and we'll check on each other. So I do feel pretty privileged in that sense that like I am on the road with multiple guys looking out for me too. So I'm not really given the chance to have too much go wrong, which is really nice. But yeah, as far as like coping with it all, holding that space for myself is really important. Taking time to just like, you know, if I'm overwhelmed going for a walk in whatever city I'm in, like I said, I'm a big pinball player, and there's a lot of times that I'll go play pinball by myself. It's very meditative for me, and I'll just sit and play for a little while, and I'm literally not thinking, just kind of clearing my thoughts. And I think not enough people do that on the road. Like I said, I've toured for 25 years. I've worked for some massive bands doing like guitar tech work over the years and tour managing, and not enough musicians do that. Not enough musicians just take a break from the monotony and the rigorous routine that is touring. A different green room, a different hotel room every night. It's like these things to where like it all starts to blend into this big mesh and you can feel overwhelmed. So I think taking those it's like a mental vacation. Like you just go take a break and it's just you and quiet your brain down and like get perspective, like take a step back from everything going on and remember how privileged you are that you get to make art for a living. Like, I, people need to buy food and people need to buy water. Nobody has to buy my art, and they are, and that's incredible. And so I usually use that as my anchor point to be like, you know what, whatever I'm mad about today, in the long run, it doesn't matter because I'm so privileged to be out here doing this right now. And that usually gets me back home pretty well.
Oh, I love that. I mean, even me, I'm like, I'm learning. I'm not a musician, but even I could use that and hold space for like for myself. And it is something like we don't think about. So I think that's really important. So I appreciate you sharing that because I think a lot of us too, maybe from the outside, think touring is this like, oh, it's a vacation. Oh, it's this, that. And yes, there are ups and downs, but again, the joy that you get from it and what you get to do. And like you said, like how special is that when you see when this record's out and people may post their variants, right? And like you get that and it's like I can't imagine how that feels of that almost like Yeah, we've already killed it. No matter what, we've killed it because look at that. They're buying this art that we created and resonating with it and having a piece of it forever. So I think that's really beautiful.
Yeah, yeah, man. I'm so lucky. I'm so lucky that I get to keep doing this. And I've been touring since I was 17.
Yeah.
And 2020 was the first time in forever that I didn't go on tour for an entire year, maybe since I was 17.
Hmm.
I just have always been touring. And 2020 just reminded me how important it was. So every year afterwards, I'm like, man, thank whatever God you believe in, that
Yeah.
like I get to keep doing this and I get to create. And no matter how bad it gets out there, I get these incredible experiences with people all over the world sharing this beautiful thing that we as humans get to experience. The transfer of emotion from through sound. It's
Hmm.
unreal. It's incredible. It's like it's magic. It shouldn't exist. It's so cool that you can. It's like listening to like a Coltrane play, and then all of a sudden you start crying because the way he played his sax is so sad. That's magic, man. That's like it
Oh,
shouldn't happen, and we created that out of thin air.
oh, I feel that like last week with the Menzingers, I had a moment where they played a
Yeah.
song and I've been really going through it. And there's a photo that someone snapped in like one of the articles. Of course, my eyes are closed, but I'm like, I remember that moment. I had to close my eyes because that they played a song and I'm like, I resonate with that and like finding the old you and like going through it. Like I had tears. Like it brought me to that moment where I had to like collect, but how beautiful, like you said, through sound, through the drumstick, through the lyrics, through the sound of a voice I don't even know. And that's so beautiful. So I can resonate with that so much. And I think that's so beautiful. Um, and then, yeah, I mean, we have Harsh Reality like September 18th. Everybody go get this. I'm gonna see. I don't know when this is gonna come out. I'm gonna figure it out when they want me to put this out. But it fantastic job. Like it is so good. And I'm not just saying that because you're here. I immediately heard it and was like, yeah, this needs to be on my show. I need to have this. So I appreciate you taking time for me coming on. I'll have all links and everything. It's so good.
Thank you so much for saying that. It truly means a lot to me. Thank you.